so this is going to be 10 minutes with Mario Kart Arcade GP2. I won't be like real stickler about that, but we'll get close enough to 10 minutes. So Mario Kart Arcade GP and GP2, they were Namco cross-license released with Nintendo, so it's the Mario Kart kind of experience with some changes. There's still a dynamic for drifting. There's, you know, of course, the item usage dynamic for being able to attack and slow down other players. It has the same ramping and speed pace dynamic where if a player is slower, then the AI will generally slow down to keep pace so that person has a good time. Both of my games are running LCDs, and I normally wouldn't swap a CRT for an LCD, but in this case there were sync differences between Arcade GP1 and Arcade GP2. I have both board sets, but I couldn't get the original monitors from GP1 to work with GP2, but a Vision Pro arcade monitor has fantastic color and contrast and has a wide enough sync range to work with both. So in this case I put those these two LCDs in, and you know, again, normally I wouldn't swap out a CRT for an LCD, but in this case it gave me an entirely new game out of it, so kind of worth it. Arcade GP 1 and 2 are pretty close to each other. The difference in 2 is they added a lot more different like variations in tracks. So Arcade GP2's tracks are a good bit stronger than in terms of like environmental and track design differences than they are in GP1. GP1 takes the same worlds on the marquee. It says 6 worlds, 24 race courses in all. The idea is it takes the 6 worlds, and then each one you see the tracks, and then you play 2 different tracks, and then you play the reverse of those 2 different tracks, and that's it. Where GP2 actually alters the tracks layout progressively as you go through those worlds, makes them more difficult, which is pretty cool. So anyway, GP2 is better than GP1 in my opinion, in almost every way, but GP2 added the world's most annoying announcer, and there's no way to turn it off in game settings. So I guess there are maybe hacked ROMs out there that I've seen in emulation areas that remove him, but I didn't do that here, so let's give it a shot. You see, you've got the kind of classic Nintendo characters that you expect, or some of them anyway. Then you've got some of these Namco guys that just are usually unexpected for this case. Blinky. I've noticed that the cart design, so the normal looking cart generally has a lower top speed, the more kind of rambunctious cart has a higher top speed.
Taking picture.
Cameras are really cool. The thing about the cameras in these games is that they're really they're broken in every game I've ever seen in the wild. So
3, 2, 1.
I'm not really sure why that is. They're PoE based IP cameras, so they're Ethernet cameras. So there's a PoE cable that connects to a switch in the bottom, and there's an extra Triforce, data port for them to connect to. So, but again, they've been broken in every one I've ever seen in the wild. One of these was broken. It took me a little while, but I was able to power it in a different way, and off to the races, literally. The items are different than Mario Kart on the console,
Mario
as you'll see.
Highway. This wonderful seaside oval is bleached by the dazzling sun. The most talented driver is Blinky. What thrilling techniques will we see?
So that's the announcer that I'm not sure that anybody asked for, but someone got. So you have a drift dynamic in this game that you have like in Mario Kart, and while you're drifting, you get a temporary shield, which makes it kind of difficult or nearly impossible for other players to affect you, with a few exceptions. You notice these coin strips. So hitting these coins actually increase your top speed. And then if you bump into the wall or bump into another cart and you lose a coin, and you also lose your top speed. So kind of benefits you to collect those coins when you can.
picks up points in one stretch.
For items, there's a really vast and varied array of items that you can pick up, and they, I don't know, like, there's no blue shell, for instance, or there's not like the same blue shell that you would have on Mario Kart on the console. There's no, I think there is a red shell equivalent, but it's a little different. It's like I've got this blue ghost guy that you're just gonna like go mess with their steering wheel, and almost all of the power-ups are related somehow either to visual or to the force feedback. So some of them will like turn some of them will turn force feedback on and off, pulsing it on and off, which makes it kind of disorienting to drive. And some will just put stuff in your view, and those are kind of like nothing. But
completely in the dust.
the force feedback system on this game is actually the most common failure. So between GP1 and GP2, they added this like thing that they didn't have in GP1, which was that if a player starts a game and they sit down, and then they don't take off, then the game sort of assumes, in GP1 it just seems to sit there until the time runs out. In GP2 it says, oh hey, we assume that the person sitting here is a kid that can't reach the pedals, and so it'll take off at full speed for them, and it'll also pace the rest of the racers back so that person has a chance, right? You know, we want them to have fun. So that's a good feature. Theory. The problem that it generated was if the kart's running around the track but there's nobody on the steering wheel, what's going to happen? Well, it's going to run against the guardrail, and so that run against the guardrail generates excessive force feedback pulses, and the force feedback, there's a dedicated board for force feedback. I think it's shared with another game.
Here we are
anyway,
from Mario
two giant
Kart
capacitors,
to
and they connect into the motor assembly. That and then some relays and a couple chips for like game specific, hey, vibrate here kind of like code. Those will fail. And once they fail, then force feedback doesn't work at all, and it's a pretty expensive repair. I think last time I checked, about 2 years ago, you could still get them fixed from Namco, but for like $400. In fact, I think I've had one of these for about 5 years. When I first got it, it was broken, and I had to have it send it off to have it fixed. Now at this point, I think I could figure it out and probably fix one myself, but they don't have like a full schematic that I've seen published. But it is a through-hole, like large component board that you could probably work on still. So this little software update for automatically letting little kids go fast and compete, which sounds like a good idea, and it is a good idea, exposed sort of a hardware failure, which was, the force feedback system going out. So I think this and the camera going out are actually kind of like part of why this game has been sort of rare. Like, I don't see them that often. They used to have a few in the base of the arcade that was in Space Mountain. It's not there anymore. In Orlando, and every time I went, one of the two pair was always out of order. There was one at the Pizza Planet arcade when it was open. Of course, it's gone now too. And I remember they always needed repair. And I don't know, I really haven't seen a lot of them in public that were actually running. But, it is what it is. I think I'm going to be able to catch this guy.
The battle for the top is a test of will. Pilots can't maintain stable air pressure. Now on to the final lap. Only one more lap to go. Bully Geek, try hard and overtake the top.
There are some pacing dynamics that are very similar to the console, though. Like the last lap, if you notice in the console, the competitors will often slow down or change their pace or increase their pace. And if you take the sort of the arcade gamification, apply that, you have the same thing, like games will pay out free plays based on some percentage of wins, and so you can usually feel all of that taking place in the fourth in the last lap rather. But yeah, so let's see how much time we've got. Oh, that was 10 minutes, so I guess that's good enough. That's been 10 minutes with Mario Kart Arcade GP2. I've had one for, I don't know, 4 or 5 years, another one for another maybe 3 years. Enjoy them, linked to play. I don't know, you can't see from this camera angle, but there are stickers everywhere because my kids are constantly playing them and their friends, and they post like their little achievements, and it's a fun game. If you can get GP2, get it. Turn the force feedback down. It is fun with the force feedback up, but if you turn the force feedback down, you save the boards. If the camera, if you get one with a camera, it doesn't work, don't throw the camera away. Look at powering the camera outside of PoE, and that'll usually solve that. And then the only other advice I could give you is the item button, the wiring for it runs through a cam running back to the motor and to the kind of like the little rotation knob dude for the steering sensor, and that cam oftentimes creates a pinch point, and it'll pinch the cables as they run through there. So I put bonded Cat 5 or Cat 6E, and then pairs through that with a braided outer cable, so that the braided outer cable's getting the pinch instead of the Cat 5 or Cat 6 rather. Anyway, that's it. I'm a little over time. So Mario Kart Arcade GP2. Wherever I post this, I'll probably surround it with a little bit of a blog post. And if you've got questions, hit me up, and I'll happy to help. So thanks for watching, and on to the next one.